to me,
I thought this is what I was trying to say, and I think from what you guys wrote before, I think I saw it differently. I saw George as trying to contribute when Paul was like doing stuff, and he was being really helpful. Also, I wanted to mention George is playing my favorite guitar, that walnut Telecaster, and he's using phaser and wah-wah, which are my two sort of go-tos, which I was just like,
which he doesn't end up using on the album.
I know, but some of the parts he's playing, Billy Preston is playing. Some of the phrasings he's playing, Billy Preston's playing. Even some of the wah-wah
Here's my
stuff.
Here's my theory on the breakup.
Let me finish. I'm not talking about the breakup. I'm talking about it seemed all normal. And then
George, here's my theory on the George leaving. And I think what happened was they needed to get to that core of who the Beatles are. And that core is the chemistry between John and Paul. And John and Paul needed to do their thing and get the song they were working on was Get Back. And,
George was into that stuff.
Yeah, but John picked up on a guitar line and Paul liked it and they were grooving on that. And George is like, well, what the hell am I going to do? It's just like a one guitar song. Like, what do you want me to do? And they just kept trying to get the fuse lit for that Beatle goal that needs to happen. And Peter Jackson expertly caught the fact that at one point, George is just a bystander.
That's what I'm talking about.
He's watching them work,
and you can see
the song going, and he's like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, you can see that he's like,
and the camera's on, the pressure's on. He's like, there's no point for me to be here. They're ignoring me. I'm not able to get any idea in. They're trying, because they were trying to get the fuse lit on that song, and it was like, don't bother us now. We're trying to get it done.
Can I interject?
And he naturally, and I think he very rightly, because he was kind of looking bad at that moment, and he's like, you know what? I'm done. I don't need. I was in America. I was playing with all these musicians all over there. I was having so much fun, and now I'm not even being allowed to play my part, what I'd like to play. Paul's kind of taken over. He's tired of being in Paul's shadow. He's like, you know what? I'm done, guys.
Go ahead, Ray.
I want to finish my George Harrison point. I thought with those effects and the way he was playing and the way he was talking about the way Eric Clapton plays lead, and he makes these parts that have a beginning and an end, and he says, I can't do that. Like, I thought he was contributing to all that and playing his part. You're probably right about the Lennon and McCartney thing, and they had to get their groove on, but he was contributing to all that and they were ignoring him, and he was trying to make it to that level where, George is thinking to himself, I'd like to play one of those Clapton parts. Let me try it. Let me try it with his phaser.
He flat says it at one point
where he says that. Yeah,
he just goes like, I can't play it like I can't play it the way you play it, even though you show me this is the way to play it, and I know the notes. I still just don't play it the way that you play it. So let me play the part. And later on, they kind of rip him for it. They kind of throw that back in his face, behind his back, if you will. Like,
how so?
I thought they talked about it. I thought later on they talked about it, and they were just like, he's just going to say.
When they're having that lunchroom conversation. When they're that lunchroom conversation that John and Paul don't even know they're being recorded.
He's just going to say, we can't do it. And it's just like, well, right, but it's true, like, why would you turn that back on him? Like, but they tried.
I picked up on the tension that has probably been growing from the start of the band, is that Lennon and McCartney have this relationship, and they're the writing partners, and they're the singers, they do everything, and it's just like, you're the little brother. They're older. You're the little brother. You just do what we say.
Early,
Yeah. Yep. And I saw that tension immediately, and I totally identified
John and always wanted John to be, John's buddy, and that goes back to some of the trying to get himself ahead of Stuart even, but and then George was always he's what you know what it is, Chris. What is it? It's like he's 9 months younger or something. Right. Short like something that, like and he always keeps throwing it in his face like you're in a different grade, and yeah, I would say a different grade is probably so he's always considered the younger guy. But I was surprised, and this kind of it ties all in Get Back. All those lines I thought was George Harrison. All the stuff that I later find out is Lennon, and I'm like, I didn't know until this documentary how much of the stuff John Lennon actually does. I thought those were all George Harrison parts. And now it all makes sense to me where the tension came in. And all the, how it's not only the lead guitar part, right, but it's, he's doing those phrasing with the, when he goes, I thought that was all I thought that was a Harrison thing until I saw this. And now I get where that tension came in. I was thinking, well, he's going to come up with these parts and they're putting, and so I thought for sure, well, again, a lot of it because of the way McCartney plays his stuff. I said, is he giving him that line? And that's where we're waiting for him to catch on.
Well, no. And George says at one point, he's just like, you only need one guitar on this. What you want me to do? Like Paul tries to explain
you're right. That's the hit song
Paul really doesn't know what George could do, and he starts to describe something, and he kind of fails at it, and George is like, you don't even know what you want me to do because John's doing the lead guitar on the song.
But that part hasn't come up yet. It's early on in the first part where he's just comes up with that rhythm, and they start doing the chords.
John's not even there,
right? And that's where I see that tension now, knowing on the back end, having seen all of it, that John is the one who comes up with that part that I thought was Harrison's the whole time. So he's putting pressure on George to I need you to play the John.
John wades into George's territory because John, and I blogged about all this. So if anyone wants to, this is Pop Tones at tumblr.com. I kind of blogged this.
Thanks for sharing.
John comes in with a couple of classics. He's got "Don't Let Me Down" and he's got "Across the Universe," right?
So, "Across the Universe" "Across the Universe" is already released.
Already out.
I thought they were listening to an acetate or something. I wasn't sure.
What is it on at that point?
The World Wildlife Compilation. That's what they wrote it for.
Yeah, but nobody had that. It was going to be on Let It Be, so he knew it was a song that was going to be on there. Here's the bottom line. He has a couple of songs under his belt, and he feels pretty good. And he's got Yoko with him. He's a happy guy. One of the things about this whole film is John, who's such a complex guy, is actually really he's happy.
Did anyone?
He's not. He has no anxiety. He has no
Mike.
But then because I don't think he has a lot of his own songs.
Yeah, Mike. Ray.
I'm gonna go ahead and do the lead on Get Back. I'm gonna take some territory.
I thought that happened because George left, and so it was that's what they were working on. But the question.
No, it was already working.
The question I had was, anybody sense the heroin use there, or John, was that Rasso?
Not at all.
I didn't at all, but I don't know. It might have been before that or after that.
The only time it's during. I don't know, but he doesn't seem like he's
not at all.
I mean, he doesn't have to. But he doesn't have to do the cold turkey thing until for another 4 or 5 months after that. So I don't know how.
Well, he says something to Peter Sellers where he says,
we're
watch out for the needles or something.
Yeah, because he got busted. Yeah,
busted. That's what I picked up on.
But you see Paul, he's like, I got really high last night, and Paul's like, oh, we're going to do this in front of the cameras.
Right.
Paul. So they're aware of it. And in fact, it was James Taylor has talked about how, he gets to England in like January of '68, and he doesn't know if he's the person who is the first person to give it to John, but he turns him on to opiates. So whether it's him or Yoko is kind of unknown, but so he's been using it, and we don't. Obviously, he's more than functional here, but it seems like the first part of it, he doesn't show up till lunch half the time, and he's So there's something going on, but he does look pretty. They all don't look like they're smoking weed either, and we know they are, right? Like there's, but I don't know. Actually, Chris, after the Maharishi, did they straighten up a little?
Like George
at least
stopped
not
using
John,
like LSD and stuff like that, but I think they were all potheads.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I thought so. But they just once again,
I'm a tidy man. I keep the hashish in the hashish.
Oh my God. Who's that little old man?
Yeah, they laid that one out there. That was great. That was great.
So great.
What the fuck?
My general observation first off was when they were in Twickenham, like you said, and they get in there and there's this hard deadline. We gotta have this. We have to have new songs. We have to have them. We're going to record them live to tape, and we're doing the show. And we've got 3 weeks to do this in, and they're all sitting in there with their wives and girlfriends, and then there's a million fucking people in there coming and going and out of there. Even the director's walking around taking part of it. There were so many people, and I was like, this is a recipe for disaster. You're under these tight constraints of a hard deadline, and you guys know we all played in bands and work creatively. It is just the pressure to perform and create and have your wife or your friends.
Another nail in the coffin of the Beatles, because like a lot of people obviously have pointed to Yoko Ono, the George Harrison thing. I will say another nail in the coffin of the Beatles was their trust and faith in Magic Alex. Like he just screwed them so badly, and they had bickering and
you gotta talk about that guy.
But they make
and all that stuff.
Yeah, they seem to be done with him.
They make fun of him in the movie. I mean, like
he's to blame though. They just we thought we were walking into this. Okay, get the mobile stuff. It can't make anything happen at all, and and it just led to more
but that's a byproduct. That's just
with the mobile thing, and he's not ready when they're ready to do some takes.
And George is
George
had the
one in the
first place. And being in that position where you're just no one's getting along to begin with. How many times are you going to go play I Dig a Pony? Are we going to do that one again? But they did it. Song. But I'm just saying. But they did it again and again, and that's just what you saw in the movie, because they did it more than that.
Yeah.
Well, one thing about I Dig a Pony that I thought was interesting, because it is an intricate line. Peter Jackson decided, you know what? I'm running short on time. I'm not going to film these guys trying to learn that line. Suddenly they all know how to, it goes from nothing
they
to
jump right.
Suddenly have that line all down, and they all learned how to do it, and that's good. And he's just you know what? It's not interesting enough to put into.
It's not that intricate. It's the blues.
Did you guys?
So it's it's the blues scale, so it's pretty easy for those guys especially.
Yeah. I mean, but it isn't something you can just do right away.
Well, not you, but John Lennon and Paul McCartney and George Harrison can do it right away.
Yeah, but he decided not to film them learning.
Okay, are you sure? Are you
sure? Not put it in the movie.
Well, but at the same time, they did it right. I mean, to say enough time. You saw that article I sent you guys about how it turned into, being almost 8 hours. Was to make it 2.5 was going to be almost impossible. But he's like, I'm going to make the one I want to. And then he showed it to the Beatles, and the Beatles told Disney, this is what we want to do. So he cut it down to tell the whole story, and he needed 7 hours or 7, almost 8, I guess. So he could have made it 9,
or he could have made it.
He could have
made it to 6 too. I think easily.
I think one of the central themes of the movie is Paul wanting to do a big kind of glamorous type of show. And the other guys just wanted to play, you know? And I think that's a dynamic that
I didn't get that at all. I think Ringo wanted to. I think John definitely wanted to play a show. Maybe not to the scale of Paul wanted to, but they wanted to play. George